Okay, so today I'll be talking about an analysis of PTSD for American citizens, especially veterans, the solutions we should pose for them, and how they affect our community. To start, post traumatic stress disorder defined is something that develops in some people who have experienced a shocking event that can be scary or dangerous. Um, in a way, it triggers your fight or flight response, even when you're not in response to danger. Now, it can be chronic and last for months or years on end. Some people struggle with it for the rest of their lives after they've experienced something traumatic, and it affects about 9% of the population. PTSD in veterans. So, a study done by the VA showed that veterans from different wartime eras have been affected differently. So, Vietnam vets are in the 15% range, while Gulf War vets are in the 12, and then Iraqi vets range between 11 and 20%. So this means that 20% of the service members that were enlisted during that time are now suffering from PTSD. Among them, um, based on 2019 statistics, about 3% of them are now unemployed. So this means that they don't have access to healthcare, or they're not getting the proper treatments they need to treat their PTSD symptoms. So, the diagnostic criteria for PTSD is repeat the physiological response or nightmares. So, this is them experiencing the trauma that happened to them over and over again. Um, Symptoms of avoidance, not wanting to talk about your trauma, arousal and reactivity, nervous, insomnia, outbursts of anger, um, impulsivity, things of that nature, and then cognitive and mood symptoms like memory loss or disordered feelings. And these all have to have occurred over more than a month of time for it to be considered PTSD and for them to be diagnosed. So, for most people, to treat PTSD, they have traditional therapies like antidepressants or control depression to control their depression or worry or anger or numbness, and that's treated with medications, which is why they have psychiatrists. And then you have psychotherapy when they go to one-on-one or group sessions, and they talk out what they've experienced and work through different methods to combat the symptoms that they're suffering from. And this can take quite a long time. Um, Next. So, in recent years, soldiers have, strayed away from traditional methods like pharmacology and psychiatry and started to use complementary and alternative medicines. And the two I'm going to talk about today is acupuncture and mindful meditation because I think they will be helpful and they're easy to provide the community. About 36% of adults use a form of CAM, and that number increases to 62 when megavitamins and prayer are included. But that's just statistics, so like I said, I'm going to focus on acupuncture and meditation. So right here is just a statistic of the number of veterans to date who use some form of supplemental or alternative therapies. And as you can see, meditation and acupuncture are among the highest of the percentages. So clearly they have had some, to great effect, some effect on the symptoms that they suffer from because of the PTSD. So acupuncture for PTSD. The use of acupuncture for PTSD has been scientifically proven to show reduced anxiety levels and stress in individuals. Acupuncture is a general term indicating the insertion and stimulation of needles at one or more prescribed points in order to affect the biology of an individual. At some point, I'm sure we've all had some experience with acupuncture, whether it just be you saw it on TV or you've had it done before or you talked about it in another health class. But I think we've all heard of it at the very least. So, some research done in conjunction with veterans and acupuncture therapies has showed that it significantly improves outcomes for PTSD patients. And not only does it cause improvements, but it specifically targets areas of the brain that are associated with stress levels, um, anxiety, fear, and other things of that nature. Um, and the best part of it is that it's an adaptable treatment for every soldier. Not one soldier is alike. They all suffer from different types of PTSD. They all have different traumas they go through and need different treatments. And in that way, it's highly adaptable and made specifically for that one soldier. And here is just a video of a person who himself has claimed that acupuncture has helped with his PTSD in a number of ways. Meditation, meditation-based approaches are being widely implemented, but there is minimal research rigorously assessing their effectiveness. But below is a chart that has recently shown the difference between mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness is just the time that people take to reflect on what they've been doing and what things affect them. And it's been proven that meditation is far more effective in the steps it takes to reduce anxiety, stress, and fear. So, the solution I pose is that state and local governments offer some sort of complementary or alternative therapy to PTSD sufferers. And this is mainly towards veterans, but obviously there are people in our communities who are not veterans who suffer with PTSD, people who grew up in violent neighborhoods, who grew up around gun violence, students who suffer from PTSD because of gun violence in their schools. And there are far more examples that I could talk about, but then I would be going on and on forever. So I propose that state or federal governments offer local therapies like the two mentioned previously. Meditation is easily done in the public space. There are millions of programs out there who they do public sessions in parks or in recreation centers, and I think it would be not easy, but possible for our government to mobilize such a thing for our veterans. And then, secondly, for acupuncture, it might be a bit harder, but um, I'm sure that they could find someone to offer their services, a qualified person that would be willing to come out into a specific area or neighborhood that they think needs more attention than the rest and offer their services on a bi-weekly or monthly basis and cover the expenses of that in order to help, especially the veterans who now live on the streets, as we all know that we're going through a crisis of homelessness with our American deaths. And this is the solution that I pose to the PTSD issue that we're seeing in our communities because I believe that it's only right and fair that we serve the vets who have chosen to serve us. Thank you. Oh, and these are my sources.